Meidas Touch host Ben Meidas interviewed California Governor Gavin Newsom, who responded to President Donald Trump calling for his arrest and deploying the Marines in Los Angeles. Let's go to a portion of this interview, courtesy of the Meidas Touch Network.
I'm joined by California Governor Gavin Newsom. Governor, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth just wrote, due to increased threats to federal law enforcement officers and federal buildings, approximately 700 active duty U.S. Marines from Camp Pendleton are being deployed to Los Angeles to restore order. We have an obligation to defend federal law enforcement officers, even if Gavin Newsom will not. That was his post. What's your response, Governor?
It's just complete nonsense. It's Orwellian. It's a manufactured crisis. Let me give you a proof point of that. As we all know well, they illegally and unconstitutionally deployed the National Guard over the objection of the governor, over my objection. And we filed a lawsuit on that. There were 2,000 National Guardsmen deployed, but they cannot operationalize the needs for more than 300 of them, meaning 1,700 of them have not been utilized in any meaningful way. Just moments ago, they also called up an additional 2,000 National Guard. So now 4,000, of which only 300 have been operationalized. And Guess what? Yesterday, LAPD had to protect and use their scarce resources to protect those National Guardsmen and women against protests that were incited because of their presence. And I say this as someone who's very proud of our National Guard and care deeply about them. They are being put into harm's way. And Donald Trump has created and manufactured a crisis that I assure you, to your tweet in the reference to excess, is going to be made significantly worse if they impose the Insurrection Act and deploy 700 active Marines and military into a U.S. American city in this manufactured crisis.
We saw that there were National Guardsmen sleeping on the floor. There was no food, water, or places to sleep for them. Here's what you posted. You sent your troops here without fuel, food, water, or a place to sleep. Here they are being forced to sleep on the floor, piled on top of one another.
All these people got their first taxing certificate within a...
If anyone is treating our troops disrespectfully, it is
manufactured crisis.
We saw that there were National Guardsmen sleeping on the floor. There was no food, water, or places to sleep for them. Here's what you posted. You sent your troops here without fuel, food, water, or a place to sleep. Here they are being forced to sleep on the floor, piled on top of one another. If anyone is treating our troops disrespectfully, it is you. And is this the group that's just even the 300 that they did operationalize, so they couldn't operationalize the 17? What are we looking at there even?
You're looking at chaos. You're looking at incompetency. You're looking, I think, at the visuals of what this is all about. They are unhinged. They're incapable of operational efficiency. I mean, these are the soldiers. This is the 79th Infantry. I know these guys well. They're under our command. They've been under my command. They're amazing young men and women. These were the folks out there protecting people in the middle of the wildfires here in LA. They were protecting public safety at key checkpoints all throughout the state. These are the folks I've deployed that are now being pulled off the line to do forest management and vegetation management, preparing for wildfire season. These are the folks that are currently being deployed, now are being sent here for this theater of the absurdity, that we're working on fentanyl interdiction and doing task force work, our rattlesnake crews, all of these extraordinary things that no longer can be done, or at least are disrupted because of this show. And that's all this is. We have more than enough resources. The mutual aid system has not even been close to being tapped as it relates to local law enforcement. And I'll remind you, LA County has 88 cities The vast majority of those cities have their own police departments. The California Highway Patrol, we've surged about 600 officers. And as I just noted, and as you just showed your viewers, you've got 1,700 of these young men and women that are sitting around waiting for something, and another 2,000 have been nationalized, again, just so Donald Trump can pound his chest and act like he is in control. He is creating chaos. He is sowing chaos.
Governor, is there anyone in the Trump administration or the Secretary of Defense, the Defense Department, or Department of Homeland Security who's coordinating or communicating any of this with you, or are you mostly finding out by tweets and by posts and Trump's press conferences?
Let's talk about the great Kristi Noem, who not that many months ago was on with one of the mouthpieces, the PR machine for the Trump administration, Sean Hannity, not that many months ago as Governor Noem, condemning the Biden administration because there was some discussion, as she referred to it, as threat to freedom and state sovereignty, because there was a chance that her National Guard was going to be federalized. She condemned it. Hannity shook his head in disgust about the incompetency of the Biden administration. That incompetency and hypocrisy is on full display right now. No coordination, no capacity to engage in a rational deployment strategy. Currently 1,700, if I haven't made that clear enough, of the first 2,000 cohort that have not been deployed, and the threat of the U.S. Marines coming in to a city in the United States of America in 2025, which would require the Insurrection Act in this manufactured crisis that is going to create the conditions that we are desperately trying to mitigate. And this chaos is manufactured, and it's my job as governor, working with local law enforcement, to clean up their mess.
Donald Trump earlier today echoed what his border czar, Tom Homan, said, which is that they want you arrested. Trump was asked why he wants you arrested. He says, because you're the governor and you won election. That's one of the reasons he wants you arrested. So what's your response to that, Governor?
That was that said by Erdogan? Who was that said by? Was that some dictator, some authoritarian in the history books? Or was that said by the President of the United States? I've never thought, honestly, and I don't want to be hyperbolic, act like a victim and all that. I honestly, literally never thought in my life I'd hear those words uttered from the President of the United States, threatening the arrest, directing the arrest of a political opponent that, quote unquote, won an election and happens to be governor of the largest state in our country. And for what? Not only winning the election, but it's really about having the audacity to call him out on his unconstitutional actions and to call out what this is all about. This is about the erosion of the rule of law. This is about a system of checks and balances, popular sovereignty, co-equal branches of government. We lost a full branch of government. It's gone, and that's Congress. There's no...
Did you know that you can have permanent teeth in just 24 hours?
Another fake commercial.
On his unconstitutional actions, and to call out what this is all about. This is about the erosion of the rule of law. This is about a system of checks and balances, popular sovereignty, co-equal branches of government. We lost a full branch of government. It's gone, and that's Congress. There's no oversight. There's only one other branch outside the executive that may or may not be left, and that's the branch he's threatening with impeachment, and he's threatening as it relates to court actions that he may or may not follow, depending on the rule of Don, and that's the courts. And that's what we've got left. And so we have to stand up. We have to call out what this is really about. We have crossed the red line. We can get in a posse comitatus. We can get into this unlawful action. But this is a national action that is occurring first here in the state of California. The executive order and the mobilization order that came from the DOD impacts every state in the United States.
Hold on for a minute, ladies and gentlemen. Let me adjust this here. There's just too many flags interrupting this video. All right, got it back up. Here we go. Governor Newsom of California.
Of America, Democrats and Republicans should wake up to what is happening currently in this country. And it's happening here first, but we are just America's coming attraction. This is a preview of things to come all across the country.
You know, that unlawful order is not specific to California or Los Angeles, right? I mean, it's a 60-day order that says, and it's not limited to just, it mentions, yes, it starts with this National Guard federalization, but it says at the Secretary of Defense's discretion, could be anything for 60 days anywhere. I don't think that's getting enough attention.
People need to understand this is a national order. We're talking about you in your state, in your backyard, depending on the whim of a president who's unhinged, depending on how he's feeling in a particular day, or who's aggrieved him because they didn't like what they said on a Fox News clip. I mean, it's, again, sober and serious moment. Meanwhile, can I just add, and this is why I told the president, just get it over with. Arrest me. Move on. If you need some head to scalp, do it with me, but stop messing with these kids. Stop messing with 4-year-olds, kids in elementary school. We've got kids. We have hundreds of graduations down here. Kids are not going to their own graduations. Families, grandparents, here legally. Mixed status families in some cases. Scared to death to go to a graduation. People are scared to walk down the streets. It's not just Home Depots getting their car washed. We have incidences. I didn't believe it because what was I thinking? I actually believed when they said this is not true. But then I saw videos that they're doing checkpoints, checking people's IDs. We've never seen this kind of deployment in so many actions. It's mass panic out here in the nation's largest county, in the nation's largest state. Good, hardworking people, decent people. These are not the criminals. These are not the thugs. And so, again, I just hope people really are paying attention. And I know he's trying to misdirect attention away from Elon Musk and this disastrous $2.5 trillion debt that's going to saddle our kids and grandkids for generations, and the abomination that is his tariff policy and his incompetency as it relates to foreign affairs. Do not fall for it. Let's all pay attention to what's really going on.
And what I find interesting, though, is, he'll be a keyboard warrior and he'll say, Newsom this and that. But when you're face to face with him and you're in front of the cameras and you're there together, he becomes a different person. You look him in the face. I remember during the wildfires, and he was like a different person when you were there together. But back wherever he is, he's, Newsom this and that. And to me, I don't know. I just look at that. Just as a man, I look at Trump and I'm like, that's pathetic. If you really feel this way about this guy, about Governor Newsom, just say it to his face then. Do it in public.
Weakness masquerading as strength. Weakness masquerading as strength. Look, I had that conversation with him Friday night, just a few nights ago. It was unbelievably cordial. He never brought up the National Guard. He didn't even want to talk about what was going on in LA. That's why we were connected. I was talking to his chief of staff or texting her back and forth, and I picked up the phone to talk to the president about this. Wasn't interested. And then a few hours later, he nationalizes, federalizes the National Guard. He lays claim that somehow it had solved all the problems, and the Guard hadn't even officially been deployed. Completely lied about that. Lied about our conversation. Said he discussed the National Guard with me specifically. But to your point, it is a surreal experience to have that kind of interaction, and then hours later be called what I think Maurice Bignan, I can't remember his name, my 8th grade bully called me, Newscum. I mean, it's the President of the United States calling someone what an 8th grade bully called me when I was a kid. Rather pathetic.
So what would be your message to him right now this evening?
Stand back, rescind this absurd, illegal, and immoral order. Let our military go home The absurdity of threatening people of the United States of America with their own military, our proud military, these remarkable men and women in uniform that do heroic work. We're really proud of our Marines. I feel for them right now. I feel for our National Guard to be there. And in fact, that we had to send the PD, our local PD, to protect our own National Guard because they're being used as pawns. Mr. President, show some decency. Show some humanity. More importantly, act like the commander-in-chief. If you want to be president, you might as well play the part as president. At least fake it. Do the right thing. Stand back, and we'll clean up your mess.
California Governor Gavin Newsom, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Everybody hit subscribe. Let's get to 5 million subscribers.
Can't get any more real than that, ladies and gentlemen. Tyrone Bowman, never surrender, never quit.